r/AskReddit. There's no such thing as a stupid question is a pretty popular phrase. Teachers, what are some stupid fucking questions that you've been asked? I taught 3-year-olds, so of course you don't expect a lot of logic or common sense. However, one little boy defied even my highest expectations by asking me if running into walls would hurt him. I said yes. Of course they do. He proceeded to shoot away and run full force into a wall because he didn't think I was telling the truth. Imagine filling out an incident report and having to explain to a parent that their 3-year-old got a lump because he tried to bull rush a wall. He was gathering evidence. Very empirical of him. Kid has a great future as a scientist. Not a teacher yet, but had someone at my job ask me if his event was going to start in 5 minutes still, even though we were in the middle of a tornado lockdown. Why are you from Africa? Followed by if you're from Africa, why are you white? Karen. You can't just ask people why they're white. Who pays for the Bill of Rights? People are named after places? That's so dumb. Said by a girl named Aisha. This is in high school, grades 9 to 12. Once in high school a girl asked if a frog was a multicellular organism, and then followed up with, but how can you tell? This pains me. In what part of Canada is Russia located? Edit. I should clarify. I'm not a teacher. I was just acting as one. Because my classmates didn't know the content we were studying for. Shih Tzu was still funny though. Not as the teacher, but in college I had a guy in one of my classes asked, honestly and sincerely, why homeless people didn't just invest in the stock market until they had enough money to buy a house. That's how people from /r/Wall Street butts became homeless in the first place. I thought of another one after reading the comments. I had a student of a particular religion, and it came up that my family were World War II refugees, and he just so loudly and over every other student talking goes, "You're a Jew." He looked hurt, like I had deceived him and was now springing my Jew trap. I was like, yeah, I suppose so. The other students were like, what the duck, dude? How can you breathe if there's an oil spill in the ocean? Luckily another pupil told the classmate that we don't breathe underwater, so we should be alright. The look of realization on the kid, yet lack of understanding of his own stupidity, was frightful. I'm not a teacher, but my daughter recently asked me if lava burns in real life. She was playing Minecraft. My daughter is nearly 17 BTW. A friend of mine asked if grass was a plant. She also asked where Central Australia was. I had to get a map of Australia and tell her to point to the center of it. She was around 20 years old at the time. Do we live on the west coast or the north coast? We lived on the east coast of the US. Someone the other day referred to the west coast as the left coast, and I wasn't sure if they were making a political statement or just didn't know directions. Not a teacher, but a girl asked after we studied The Hobbit, is The Hobbit based on a real story? It was year 8 English. I guess students who don't read the books tend to ask interesting questions. Wait, so if Spain has a king and queen, who are the king and queen of the United States? High school junior. My history teacher said the stupidest question he ever got was, when was color invented? They literally thought that for a majority of history there were only 2 colors, black and white. As languages develop, my understanding is that colors gain words at varying rates. Blue was one of the last in European cultures. Ike. Not a teacher in this case, just a student. Upper division class in university. For career planning. Required for seniors in my major. Teacher says to the class one day, pay attention to this next bit. It's important. And proceeds to lecture. A week later, she says again, pay attention to this. And delivers the same material she covered before. I figure she forgot that she covered it already. Soon we have review before the final. The class session is to review things covered in the class before we take the final exam. Duh. She again says to the class, now pay attention. This material is important, and reviews the information she provided twice before. Immediately afterwards she goes into her briefcase to get notes. And the guy next to me leans over and asks, do you think this is going to be on the test? I soaked that up for a beat and said yes I do. People like that are why the teacher knows she has to present the material 3 different times, lol. I'm not a teacher, but this happened when I was in high school English class. We had been studying a short story for 2 weeks called Contents of a Dead Man's Pocket. It was quiz time and this girl raises her hand and asks, what does contents mean? Except she emphasized the wrong syllable. She had no idea what the word meant. That was in the title of the story we were studying for weeks. And didn't think to ask until the day of the quiz. That just reminded me of when I was at a camp with a bunch of kids from my church and we were playing some game like charades or something. Kid got the thing that said what he was supposed to act out, and he asked loudly, what's deodorant? We were like 15 years old. Not a teacher, but one kid during sex ed asks, why don't women ever need to get DNA tests to prove that they're the mother? And we all facepalmed in unison. It was kinda glorious. In 9th grade history I asked how many whales died in World War II. For completely legitimate reasons. Being that the teacher said the submarines couldn't see that well with the optics of the time. And whales could look like boats. The teacher looked at me dumbfounded. And said that was the dumbest / most interesting question he'd ever gotten at it. I don't know how accurate this is, but I think it was something like 600 died over the course of the war. That may include deaths from other causes. There isn't a lot of information out there about it. Not a dumb question. Now I want to know the answer. Like, did the government keep records of accidental whale murders? Is that a real invisibility cloak? I was working retail at the time and hung up a coat hanger behind the desk with invisibility cloak. 50% off. Or something. A high school student thought it was real. Yes. But they haven't perfected the invisibility spell they cast on it. So only the cloak is invisible. People will still see you. Me, is this a remedial class? Teacher, no. Why do you ask? I just don't understand how we are going to be reading Plato on my first day after transferring high school's freshman year. Class was reading Plato. As an educator for the general public, it never fails to surprise me how many adults don't know how eggs work. As in, a female bird will lay an egg. But if you want a baby bird, you need a boy bird too. I have been asked so many times, right after explaining quote, this owl lives by herself, doesn't like other owls, and lays a few eggs every spring, and someone will pipe up to see what we do with all the baby owls. I get not everyone is an animal person, but it really feels like basic biology. That doesn't surprise me. There are plenty of people out there who don't realize that cows only produce milk after they've given birth. Like it's not just permanently full of milk. I feel kinda stupid that I didn't know this. TBH. So that's why the moment when they finish having offspring, the mom will be separated from the child and her nipples will be hooked on a machine to pump out the milk for us. Kinda sad though thinking about this. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and consider subscribing for more daily AskReddit content.